In case you don't know, I'm probably live on YouTube right now. We should be doing a bunch of $5,000 Yinlin giveaways. If you want to enter, just like, comment, subscribe to this video. Very easy. Let's get into it. So there's been a lot of drama recently, as of right now, between two content creators. Now, this is a very subtweet type of content. We're going to get into why this is, but GotchaSmack released a video about 18 hours ago why saying 44111 is very good for early game, and Tectone is saying, no, that's trash, don't do it. It's misinformation. The math's been done. I have my own opinion, but first, I will summarize GotchaSmack's point for all you guys. 44111 is much easier to farm. It lets you unlock crit rate, crit damage subsets much easier. You can do it much quicker, and then later you can transition into 43311. And with this, I agree with, but I'm gonna go even further after this react. We react to this, then we get into it. I wanna hear what 1010 says, because I do like 1010, but I am curious why this is happening right now, because I feel like 44111 is very good.
Gamers, assemble. Today I'm sponsored by none other than the legendary MMO Terrace Land. Terrace Land is a world full of danger, rewards, mystery, and deep and ancient past. Pre-register today to enjoy some of the content in the upcoming patch with a new challenge mode with corresponding rewards added to both dungeons and raids. Looking for PvP? Terrace Land is introducing new PvP badge system and 5 additional PvP specific talent choices for each class, adding even more depth to an already incredible game. There's something for every style of play, including my personal favorite, the Barbarian Fighter. Barbarian fighters belong to the Snow Lion clan that came from Skedino Ice Plains, known for their strong muscles, sharp teeth, and top-notch combat prowess and strength. Capable of dealing a lot of damage and also tanking quite a bit of damage too. In most games, you usually have to sacrifice a little bit of tankiness to deal that much damage, but in Terrace Land, no. The Barbarian Fighter can wield Frost Thunder and deal massive damage without losing out on any of the tankiness at all. Now that's badass! Join together up to 4 allies and clear dungeons full of epic creatures and sick piles of delicious loot. Not enough? Form a 10-player team and challenge the plethora of powerful raid bosses to get even better loot. Choose from 11 different classes with 2 types of specializations and moreover 40 talents. Not only can you play with a fully customizable interface on PC, it's also available on cross-platform and mobile.
I've been seeing a lot of people trying to push for the 44111 build, claiming that it is easier to farm, it is easier to obtain in the early game, and you should be doing it. No, you should never be doing it. That is completely wrong. And it's nothing to do with the fact that it's easier to obtain. It has nothing to do with the fact that the subsets are easier to roll. It is just mathematically purely wrong. And it just comes down to simple calculus. It actually comes down to a pretty simple calculus problem called optimization, which I already talked about in a different video, but here's a little more detailed breakdown on a hopefully a simpler level instead.
44111 suck. I don't think it's true. I also have the math.
Simple graph that kind of explain the pictures. Now I want to make it very clear that this graph is not the final answers. Depending on the characters, depending on your build, your team, your graph could look different. But the general idea is always the same. Starting from the top yellow line, this is your 43311 with a 5p set bonus. And as your substat get better, you can see your damage keep growing, and that just makes sense. And each one of these lines represent a different setup. Some of these are 44111, some of these are 43311 with like no set bonus. There will be a legend at the top of the screen right now. And you can see that without any substat, assuming you're only caring about main stats, you're still better off running a 43311 build. Always. Why?
How?
Let's look into the math. The first assumption people make is that your 44111 will have way better substat than your 43311 because it is easier to farm. And that's completely false. That is because
no, that's completely true. If you can farm something much quicker, much faster, then you will end up having better crit rate, crit damage substats, because you will have a larger sample size of the pieces that you can roll. You will be able to throw away things that roll poorly on the first or second roll, and you'll be able to replace it.
Because your 44111 is transferable. This 4 here is equivalent to this 4. That means if you got a good 4 cost on your 44111 setup, you have a good 4 cost for your 43311 setup.
I agree.
These two pieces are the exact same. There's no different.
True.
The same go with the 2 1 cost at the bottom. If your 1 cost have a god row for your 44111 build, so will your 1 cost row for the 43311. Because they are the same. They're the share. So the only difference between these two sets are that you're running a 4-1 setup here.
He is absolutely correct on this. He's absolutely correct.
Versus a 3-3 setup here. And this is a massive difference since this gives 60% damage. Comparing these 4 pieces together, you'll see that the difference is that the 4 costs provide you with either 22% crit rate or 44% crit damage. Plus the one.
If you're free to play, you're going to always choose crit rate because the majority of free to play, we don't have access to a crit rate damage or a crit rate weapon unless we rolled for Geons, which I think Geon is also crit damage. Yeah, I think you have to get the battle pass to get a crit rate. I have no crit rate substats on my entire account.
Costs that provide you with 18% attack. On the other hand, the 2 free costs each provide you with 30% damage, or I guess you could go 30% attack if you really want to. And a smart man at this point would immediately recognize that there's no way this will ever compete. The 30% damage.
Now, once again, I fully acknowledge that yes, the 3 pieces do give you more damage. Just like I acknowledge me having a tank would let me do a lot more damage when trying to damage a wall. The problem is, Redless, I don't have a fucking tank.
Main stat is just significantly better than the 4-1 main stat to the point where even if you have the god row, the best row, the perfect row on your 4-1 piece, it probably won't compete with your 3-3 piece. But why? That is because crit is extremely expensive and extremely inefficient, and it gives very, very little damage. Let's look at why. Assuming your character don't have any stat right now.
I can also agree, right? Because you need 2 stats to essentially get 1 main damage multiplier, for sure.
Equipping it with a 30% damage boost.
I don't think anybody is disagreeing with the fact that the other set does more damage. I believe everybody here knows the other set does more damage. I'm sure we all agree with that. The problem is the accessibility of getting it.
Boost just boosts your damage by 30%. That kind of makes sense. So if you're doing 100 damage per hit, giving it a 30% damage boost will bring it to 130. But what about critical strike? If you're running a crit damage main stat 4 cost, then you get 44% crit damage. But how much damage do you really get from that? Because it is not a 44% damage increase, I'll tell you that. Suppose you get a 44 crit damage increase. What does that really mean? Well, in Wuthering Wave, there's a base 150% critical damage modifier, but let's keep it simple and let's keep it 1-to-1 for now. So with a 44% crit damage increase, that means your crit is now going to do 144% damage of the base damage. So instead of doing 100 damage, when you do crit, you do 144 damage. But here's the problem. You don't crit every single time. You might crit half the time if you have 50% crit rate. You might crit 1/3 of the time if you have 30% crit rate. It depends on the critical rate.
Yeah, that's why we want to make it consistent. So this argument, this is the reason why we want to have it consistent.
Modifier as well. I mean, you have to average out your true damage increase. So let's say you have a 50% crit rate and you crit half the time. So half the time you'll be doing 100 damage. Half the time you'll be doing 144 damage. Your average damage is going to be 100 plus 144 divided by 2, which is 122. And you can see that this 122 is less than 130.
Absolutely.
So the 30% damage increase is just straight up better than your 44% critical damage increase. But here's the worst part. This is assuming you already have crit rate. This is assuming you already have 50% crit damage, which if you go check your character right now, I don't even know if you have it. The reality is that crit is expensive to build. And what we mean by expensive is that in order to see an actual benefit from it, you have to get a lot of it. That is because critical rate doesn't function without critical damage, and critical damage doesn't function without critical rate. And even when it do function, in that previous example, I saw it with 50% critical rate, the damage increase is still not as good as the raw 30% damage increase from your elemental damage modifier. I mean, if you have 100% critical rate, then yeah, your 44% crit damage increase is just a 44% damage increase, assuming you don't already have any critical damage modifier. But do you have 100% critical rate? can you even get 100% critical rate in this game? And as your critical rate start dropping from 100 to like less and less and less and less, your critical damage is less and less and less and less effective. The simpler way to think about it is that crit is extremely overpriced, and for the most part, you have to pay double to get the same amount of damage. And again, that's because you have to build both crit rate and crit damage.
So that before, yeah.
So if you were to build a 4 cost crit rate and then a 4 cost crit damage, and you add the damage up together, it is not even as good as 1 free cost damage increase. Now, that's not actually how it works. That's just a simple version. It depends on what other stat you have, which is the next part we're going to talk about. Despite all of this, why do you still want to build crit at the end? You can think about the idea of trying to maximize your damage as if you're trying to build a box as big as possible, and the volume is your damage. So in this case, you're trying to build a box. There's 3 variables you can control: your width, your height, and your length. And each of these perfectly represent a different stat in the game, starting with attack percent, followed by damage percent, followed by crit. And each one of these variables increases the corresponding width, length, or height. And again, your goal is to make the box as big as possible. So how do you do it? The best way is to make them as even as possible. With simple mathematics, you can observe that if you were to build your box with a 5 times 5 times 5 dimension, then you'll have a volume of 125, because all you do is multiply the length, the width, and the height. But if you were to instead use 10 times 2 times 3, you notice that your volume is only 60. It's about half, even though in both cases the amount of material you use adds up to exactly 15. So here you use 10 plus 2 plus 3 length of material, which is 15. And on the other hand, you also use 5 plus 5 plus 5 material.
Now I get
15.
it.
So in both,
Right. I mean, dude, we all get it. But the problem is just getting the 3 set, right? Which I'm really hoping. We're halfway through this video. I'm still trying to figure out how the fuck we get this shit easier.
both cases, your total length add up to 15, but the one where you evenly distribute them is significantly better. But here's the problem. The material is not priced the same. There's a price attached to them.
Wait, you don't? How do you feel like I don't get it? Because everything he's saying, we all already agree with. But I'm just trying to figure out how 4-3-3-1-1 is easier to farm. I think his point is that even a shit 4-3-3-1-1 is better than a good 4-4-1-1-1. Yeah, but my problem is how the fuck am I going to get the correct 3-set echo with the Havoc damage? I have not got a single one. Gonna use an example of odds. Finding an on-element lightning bird is 0.07% per day. Takes about 1 hour per day to farm lightning herons. Finding an on-element lightning bird is 0.07%. Okay, so 7% or 0.07%? Sarah, because I have not gotten a single one at all. Like, the only on sets that I have are the echoes that I've chosen. Yeah, how you yapped? I killed every bird using the tracker. I got 2 attack ones and 1 electric one. Well, yeah, you got lucky. That's like someone doing a 10 pull and saying, oh, bro, I got it in 1 pull. What's wrong with you? Okay, so it's calculating the assumption that you get 1 crit rate and 1 damage. He didn't think about slapping 2 crit rate ones. So he's making the wrong assumption and building his argument the wrong assumption. Yeah, we're doing double crit rate one. I don't know if that was something that we do crit damage. It's 1% base chance to get the on-set element. It's 0.07%. Including the 20% base chance drop rate. Well, that seems quite low now, doesn't it? Sarah, if you have any way to break down that math, I would love for you to send that to me, because I'm trying to figure this shit out, bro. He's saying even a rainbow 4-3-3-1-1 is better than an onset 4-4-1-1-1. He's saying that a rainbow's better? So as long as you get the main stat from any set, I just feel like that can't be true. 4-3-3-1-1 offset is still more damage. The beginning graph shows it kinda. Yeah, but what the fuck even is that graph? Guys, you gotta understand. This is just a graph. We don't know what he plugged in. We don't know what's in here. It's just a graph. Look up. No. No, here's the thing. You don't know. You just see a graph and you agree. Here's the thing. Graphs are made by humans. So you don't know what he plugged into this graph to make it this way. All we see is 4-3-3-1-1-5 set. 0 to 1400. Okay, guys, what does 0 to 1400 mean? If you guys understand what this graph means and you agree with it, what does the 0 through 1400 mean? Attack. Now, where are you pulling that you think that's attack from? I mean, this graph isn't even labeled, guys. There's no labels. It is 0 to 1400 and then a graph where a red line goes up. I get that there's a legend here. What I'm saying is people just see a graph, You don't know what the graph means. You don't know what the labels mean. You just see this at the top and you see these lines. You go, oh, fuck, it's better. Right? And then you say, oh, it's better in every single scenario. And let's just keep in mind, you just said that 4-3-3-1-1 no set is better, yet on this exact graph, the black line represents 4-4-1-1-1, and the black line is higher than the orange, which means once again, you are wrong. The black set that he put in this fucking thing is also just as good as the blue set, which is the 4-3-3-1-1-2-2 set, which means the only graph, if you were considering this graph to be correct, is the 4-3-3-1-1-5 set, which means 4-4-1-1-1 is better than everything else besides 4-3-3-1-1 on 5 set. So you're literally wrong in every single scenario. Whether you think this graph is right, whether you think this graph is wrong, if you're looking at the key, if you're looking at the data, you are once again talking out of your ass. That's why I'm saying this graph makes no sense. Because you want to look at numbers and say that you're right, but if you look at the video, you're already proven wrong. What you're talking about also makes no sense at this point. Okay, let's break it down then. Once again, I want to go on record saying I think this graph is bullshit. Okay, I'm going on record saying this graph is bullshit. And you want me to tell you what? If a student were to hand me this paper and they were to hand me a graph with evidence that's not properly marked, I would say, eat a dick, try again. The x-axis is labeled from 0 to 1400. It tells you nothing. What is that? HP, defense, attack? I'm going to assume it means attack. Right? I'm going to assume that means, because I don't know. I'm going to assume it means attack, okay? Now let's go even further, okay? You said that 4-3-1-1 is better in every scenario, even offset. And you said, look at the graph. Okay, bitch, let's look at the graph. 4-3-3-1-1, no set. Oh, I'm going to assume O means orange. Here's the orange line. It's the fourth one. Blue, 4-3-3-1-1, 2 out of 2 set. There's the blue line. Black, 4-4-1-1-1, 5 set, which is very easy to get. It's very easy to get. The black line is that one, guys. The black line, and I'll draw on it for you. The black one is very easy to see, and it's right here. And look at this shit, guys. It curves up and it goes above. I don't adjust that line. And that means that this set right here is better than every other set, or at least marginally different than every other set. That's why 4-4-1-1-1 is very good to farm early game, and then you transition to 4-3-3-1-1. Okay? Now, I want to know, what am I wrong about? Because I use your evidence. I use even his Mickey Mouse graph that's not labeled. So what am I wrong about, guys? I'm right either way. If you want to agree the graph is right, I'm still right. If you want to agree the graph's wrong, I'm still right. Let's continue here.
In order to increase,
Because I mean this generally, no one is saying that 4-3-3-1-1 on set doesn't do more damage than 4-4-1-1-1. We all agree it does more damage. The thing is, it's really hard to farm. That's all we're saying. Why are you skipping his explanation? I went 7.5 minutes without even interrupting the guy. We're going to finish the video 1,000,000%. Now let's continue. Except you're wrong. 4-4-1-1-1 is worth farming. It's not worth farming. Why would it not be worth farming a 4-4-1-1-1 set to transition you into late game if you're a free-to-play casual player? Because then you can also take the pieces that don't work, use them on an additional character that you get later, because if you get another good 4, you can slap it on another character later and be good to go. So how is that not worth farming? Because you go into a friend's world and farm their pieces on lower world tier as long as they have the DB level. Brother man, people don't want to do that. That's why I said a free-to-play casual player. No casual player is going to go, well, I need to min-max my echoes. They're going to do the boss fights where every other time they get a drop. They're not going to walk around, maybe get an echo, maybe hit the 1% it lines up. That's just not how it goes. We're saying a casual player. And let's be real, if they play gacha games, they probably don't have friends. You're right for casual players. Well, who the fuck do you think I'm arguing for? Because I'm the free-to-play fucking casual. That's my whole thing, is that I beat games free to play and casually. That's my whole thing. Let's continue.
increase the length of your damage, you have to pay $1.
You are
for
no
each one.
casual? Guys. You say I'm not a casual. I want to make this very clear. Before even attempting to push for holograms and endgame fights, I literally ran around the world and collected cubes. I'm a goddamn cube picker, guys. I'm level 8 Pioneer with 100% exploration progress. Speaking of which, I beat the game. I need to make a video on that. I'm pretty sure hardcore players aren't going out to 100% complete the world before they do the endgame modes. I'm a fucking cube picker, man. I'm a cube collector. Jesus Christ.
Meter. But for crit, you have to pay $2, maybe even $3 per meter. And why? Again, that is because crit is only effective when you build both critical rate and critical damage stat. Therefore, they upcharge you because it costs double the amount of material. That means the quickest way and the fastest way to maximize your damage is just ignore crit because they are overcharging you. You just focus on attack and focus on getting damage. That's the quickest way of getting damage.
Okay, but now the problem is you're saying just ignore crit rate. Well, the problem is now you're saying use all attack percent, use elemental damage, and just don't have crit rate, crit damage substats. Well, that's just going to happen. There are two different substats that are going to happen, and if you don't prioritize them, they're going to go to waste, right? That's why it's very difficult to say, well, just ignore it. Well, the crit rate, crit damage substats are going to happen, right? And if you don't, like, let's say you get a bunch of crit damage substats, they're completely waste if you don't get crit rate. Let's say you get a whole bunch of crit rate substats. Well, now they're completely waste unless you get crit damage.
Till your damage and attack gets so big to a point where it is no longer efficient to increase these stats. In mathematics, there's something called diminishing return.
Of course, yes, 100%.
The more of the same thing you build, the less efficient it is. Now, It's not exactly diminishing return, but the term itself just makes it easier to understand. And what that means is that, let's suppose your attack is at 100, increasing this by another 50, bring it to 150, which is a 50% damage increase. However, bringing this another 50 up will bring it to 200, which is only a 25% increase from here. And you can see that even though in both cases, you increase your length by 50, which means you pay $50, the amount of efficiency you actually get is not as high. You're getting half for the same price.
Once again, we all get it.
And eventually, it is so inefficient that building crit, even though they're overcharging you, is more worth it than to continue to build your attack or your damage. Because at the end, when you have so much money, when you have like perfect stat everywhere, when you have perfect roll on each of your pieces, critical is worth it because then at that point, your damage increase is a lot more significant from the crit, plus your damage increase from your other stat is not as significant. That's why you build crit at the very end, not the very beginning. Because it is very expensive, but eventually it will be more expensive and less efficient to build other stat compared to building crit. Again, build crit at the end, not at the beginning. Do not build 44111. Stop building 44111. I know people are trying to do the 44111 setup, especially on either Havoc or Under characters, because you can get the 5p set bonus. But it's all completely wrong. It has nothing to do with the set bonus. It has nothing to do with that it's easier to get crit because you can get both. It is simply inefficient in both of these cases compared to just doing a single free cost echo with the right main stats without either set bonus or without any substats. Unless you just don't have a single free cost echo of the corresponding element.
Which I don't! The only ones I have on my whole fucking account are the ones that I was able to pick from the event. Keep going.
Matching it, you should not be running 44111. And keep in mind that again, there is the Elusive Realm event that gives you a free cost echo with a corresponding set on the corresponding element damage bonus.
What am I supposed to do on my 8 other characters?
As always, this is a dumbed down version of the optimization problem in calculus that you'll find in high school, and you can go read a paper on it or a book on it if you're interested in learning more. But the general idea of the optimization problem is the same. In this video, you can see they're trying to build a 2-dimensional box, modifying their length and width to be as big as possible. And you just have to think about this as the exact same thing, but now you have 3 dimension instead, and it's corresponded to a stat in the game. But just to summarize it from the beginning, a 4-3-3-1-1 setup.
Why is your reasoning about not having a specific character a at roll better issue, but not having an echo on set is not. Okay, so I'm going to show you why. Do you know what this is?
Joke.
Have you heard of that? Yeah, so the thing is that when you say that, it's a joke. Now, I know someone like yourself may not understand what that is, but it's something that us humans use to express humor. Let me Google humor.
Humor.
Yeah, so it's like trying to entertain people, right? Because that's kind of like my job as a streamer. Hold up, streamer. A content creator, right? Which is an entertainer, right? Let me look up definition. Right, it's entertainer definition, right? It's a job or goal is to perform to the amusement of others. So essentially, it's my job to try to make jokes and entertain people who watch my stream. So I use jokes as like a medium to kind of express my points. Does that make sense? Hopefully that makes sense. But yeah, hopefully that makes sense.
Where your free cost simply has the right main stats, even though it is on the wrong set, even though it doesn't have substat or has terrible substat, it's pretty much always going to be better than any 4-4-1-1-1 setup you can possibly come to build.
Well, that's just not true by your own graph. What do you mean? And what do you mean pretty much always?
Your 4-4-1-1 setup can have the 5p set effect. Your 4-4-1-1 setup can have the best substat in the game. For the most part, it is not as good as simply running a 4-3-3-1-1 setup.
Okay, but you're saying for the most part. We're arguing the part where it's not the most part. You see what I'm saying? So when you say for the most part, there's still a part for people where it's not a scam.
As long as these two free costs have the right damage main stat.
Okay, I'm gonna show you. So this is my Calcharo. Now, I have played this game for about 120 to 140 hours. Now, I am trying so fucking hard to get onset Electro. Now, thankfully, I have two of them. Do you want to know where these two are that I got? I shit you not, I got these from choosing them from an event. Okay, and thankfully, this one rolled pretty good. It rolled pretty good. So I'm using it on my Calcharo. I'm using 43311 on my Calcharo. I'm using it, right? When it comes to my Yin Lin, I am going to not be doing that. I'll be running 44111 until I can get a functioning set. So now I'm going to go over my Havoc pieces. I have one Havoc 3 cost, big, right? That's huge. And out of all of the dogs I farmed, the 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18 dogs, I got one Havoc damage bonus. I got one, right? And there's no 43111, so I need to get two of them. And I've been attempting to farm this shit since day fucking one, and I know a lot of players are having a similar fucking experience. And I am trying my fucking hardest to get this shit, but I'm on like day fucking 10. I can't get this shit to save my fucking life. Like, it is so fucking difficult to get this shit. Oh my God, I have another Electroflautist. Yes, dude, yes. Yes, dude, thank God. Electro, oh, fuck. Electro, fuck. Oh, fuck. And that's it. I have one on-piece on damage Havoc, one on-piece on damage Electric, and it's still not enough. And I've been trying, like 10, and I get it. I get it. You are arguing math. I fucking get it. It is way better. 15% better. But you got to understand, in my entirety of playing the game, right? In my entirety of playing the game, that's all I've gotten. You see what I'm saying? Like, bro, it is fucking brutal out here, bro. So that's what we're arguing. Because I'm letting you know, I'm arguing with my experience. I don't know how much money 1010 has spent. Maybe he's free to play. But you gotta understand, like, in my whole time of playing, I have only gotten two, right? And they're not even the same set. So the amount of 4 cost I've gotten is quite high, right? Because I did a thing where I farmed all 4 cost, right? You see these 3, 6, 9, 12, these 13 echoes I have for Crownless that are epic. All of these took me less than 30 minutes of farming. And I got all of these. And the only thing I needed to do is just hit the right main stat. Right? And so that's what I'm saying. Like, and I don't have to move. I can just sit there, grind. Maybe TP between 2 waypoints. That's it. I don't got to run around. There's no travel time. It's just go to a fight, fight it. Go to the fight, fight it. You see what I'm saying? And out of all of the main stat rolls, let's just think. So there's attack, HP, defense, crit rate, crit damage, healing. Is there anything else? Energy? Energy. Oh, there's no energy. Okay, there's not even energy on 3 cost. Okay, great. So then this is all the 4 cost then, right? Once again, I didn't even think there was energy. Chat told me. I chose to believe you, and we saw what a mistake that was, right? So this is all of them, yes? Great. Now that we've got it all out of the way, right? That means every single time you kill one of these things, you have a 1 in 6 chance of getting the one that you want. That's fucking insane. Okay, so now let's go through the 3 cost. What can the 3 cost have, guys? Electro, Fusion, Spectro, Havoc, Glacio, Arrow. I think that's all the elements. Arrow. Right? And then what else is there? Energy, attack, HP, defense. Am I wrong? And then we have to do this all over again, because not only do these have to match up, these have to match up, and then you also have to make sure it's a 5-star. So instead of being a 1 in 6 given, they also have to be a 5-star. So we'll remove this variable. Instead of a 1 in 6, you have to do a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This means every single time you get one, it's a 1 in 60 chance instead of 1 in 6. So you see what I'm saying? Like, and then did it drop? Then did it drop? Because then you need it to drop. There's a mistake. 1 in 120. There's a mistake. The 3 costs are not for all set. Okay, so then you need the specific one that does maybe hit that one, and then you need to know if it drops. Whereas this one has a pity to where the echo will drop. You see what I'm saying? So first, you need it to drop. Then you need it to be a 5-star. Then you need to be the right element, and then you need the right main stat. You have to go through 4 different hurdles. And then people are saying, okay, well, they got to know how to do the pity. I don't think casual players are going to know how to do the pity. Do you see why it's so difficult? Some of those hurdles are gone when you start farming tacit fields. They will pretty much only make it 1 or 2 sets. Great. But outside of tacit fields, you know, we all don't have the wave plates to do that, right? And people agree that tacit fields are scams, allegedly. You should add wait time too on top of that. Yeah, and then you got to wait. You got to run around. You got to go get them. Where it's like when you farm this for Havoc or Electro, kill a boss, go to the next. Kill the boss, come back to the first. So farming for the 4 stars is like this. Go here, go there. That's farming the 4-star, right? And then you go back. And then every now and then, this is going to drop, right? And then farming the 3s is like this. It's like this. Fuck off. Go here, go there, go here. It dropped. When the 1 in 60, ooh, you lost. Go here. Yep, and then go here, right? And then go here. Yep, and then go here. Yep, and then, 1 in 60. Oh, and they're all gone. Wait till the reset. You see what I mean? Like, it's just like, holy fuck. Eventually, everyone will be finished with boss kills and traces. Everyone will be perma-farming. Great. And here's the great thing, okay? So you'll say, well, eventually people will just reach, the end of the game, and then they'll farm tacit fields. Sure, that might happen. But you understand, for free-to-play right now, the highest level that you can get as of time of recording, which is June 5th, the highest that you can get if you're free to play and you're not using your Tesseract, whatever the fuck they're called, the tater tots. Don't use your tater tots on energy, okay? Use that shit on fucking polling, okay? Because you're not going to get any other chance to get the fucking premium unit, okay? If you're free to play, the highest you can get is 39. Do you know how long it's going to take for us to get to 60, 70? We're going to be here until 2025, guys. And I don't even think that's an exaggeration.
And that's all.
Unless you use cubes. Well, Sarah, even with cubes right now, you cannot hit 40 as a free-to-play. Because I'm free-to-play. I think I've missed out on 24 wave plates so far since launch. Yes, you can. No, you can't. I have 26 crystal solvent in my inventory. 26 times 450 equals 11,700. 11,700 does not get me to 40. It gets me midway through 39. I'm free to play and I'm 42. That's because you used your fucking tater tots, dumbass. If you max refresh with tater tots, sure. But if you're doing that, you're not free to play. If you are actually free to play, there is no fucking way you're using asterites to refresh. You're just not doing that. Like, you are just full on fucking cap. I'm free to play in 41. Did you use asteroids to refresh? Let me know where you got an extra 22,000 experience that I don't have. A few times, yes. And that's why I'm saying you're not fucking listening. I swear to God, these fuckers don't listen. I've 100% explored the fucking map. I know what I'm talking about. I have 100% done this. There is no shot free-to-play players are using asteroid. And if they are, they ain't gonna be free-to-play for long, buddy. Because when a banner comes that they lose, they ain't gonna be free-to-play. So shut the fuck up. You might be free-to-play right now, but you ain't gonna be free to play later. So let's just relax there, bud. We gotta fight me on fucking everything, man. No wonder you fucking bully all these dumb fuck smaller IQ content creators into positions they don't believe in with arguments that make no fucking sense. I have missed 24 wave plates since launch. There is no shot you hit level 40 unless you're using asteroids. And if you are using asteroids, you are not going to be free to play for long, buddy. Because the only thing you should be worried about is maxing out your asteroids so you get the characters you want. Except you change the idea of free to play to suit your narrative. Go ahead. Tell me how I'm wrong. Oh, actually, asteroids can use free to play. The free to play players can refresh with asteroids. Okay. And how long do you think they're going to stay free to play? Go ahead. Tell me how I'm goalposting. Oh, and then you can't. It's the golden rule. Free-to-play players do not do that shit because free-to-play players suffer with time and patience. You do not fucking refresh. I mean this genuinely. On my life. And there it is. And that's why you can't type shit. Pussy. Because you know I'm right. You know for a fucking fact as a free-to-play, you do not refresh with Asteroid. You know that for a fucking fact.
It take. That's how different the map is. That's how overpowered the map is. And so once you start putting into substat, 4-3-3-1-1 will win every single time.
It will. 4-3-3-1-1 will do more damage every time, yes.
And if anyone asks why, that's because crit is expensive.
It is.
You're paying $10 for 1 damage increase, or you could just be paying like $1 for 1 damage increase if you build damage stat instead. For critical, not only you have to build both stats, so it's at least twice as expensive, you don't even see any gain for the most part.
On the other thing that he's not considering, there's also 2 stats, which means the odds of getting one of them on a substat is much higher, right? So they are going to show up. And if you don't prioritize to unlock the crit damage, to unlock the crit rate, then you're wasting 2 substats.
Unless you hit
which are going, they're going to be bound to happen.
Then your critical damage modifier come into effect. So the actual gain itself, even when you have both stats, is not as high. I try not to make this video as simple as it is to understand for people without a mathematics background, but
how are you going to say that you're not a casual and then hit cap multiple times? Exactly. This is why I am a casual. Once again, pop. I literally call myself the free-to-play casual. Dude, I've hit the cap 3 times, guys. I've wasted 8 wave plates, 7 wave plates, 9 wave plates. Okay? Hey, that's why I'm casual, man. That's how people play.
It's definitely kind of hard, especially when you're not familiar with the optimization problem, you know, without understanding like why you should be increasing the size of each length of the box evenly. It is very hard to explain like why you should be putting a stat this way. So I just hope I explained it as best as possible. But yeah, it has nothing to do with your substat. It has nothing to do with it being easier to be on.
Wait, did he really just go through all of this and just say 4-3-1-1 does more damage like we didn't already know this? Oh my god, it's about convenience and farming, bro. I watched the whole fucking video. It's about convenience and farming.
The 4-3-1-1 setup is simply better regardless of everything. And that's the 2 most common mistake that I see people are.
But your own graph argued against that. What do you mean? You said, you showed that the rainbow set is worse in your own graph. 4-3-3-1-1 no set orange is worse than the black set, which is the 4-4-1-1-1-5 set. So what do you mean? 2-2's better though? Yes, but he said regardless of everything that 4-3-1-1-1 is better, right? But then if you look as well, even the black and the blue line up on the second one. You see what I'm saying? That's just simply not true.
Element damage on it. So I would appreciate if you guys can just like, comment, subscribe, and most importantly, share the video to everyone who is kind of being misled by one of the most common mathematic error right there. And if I'm wrong, then I'm happy to be proven wrong, but someone would have to provide me with, you know, the same thing I did. Basically, a mathematic calculus sheet.
Sure, it's right here. 4-4-1-1-1 results versus 4-3-1-1-1 results. It's about 15% stronger to go 4-3-3-1-1. A 15% increase in quite a lot. 4-4-1-1 can be a final alternative so you get a good 3 cost echoes. If the gap between your 4-4-1-1 setup and 3-4-3-1-1 is a lot better substats. So it's right here. There it is. Hope everything makes sense. I'll be real, a 15% damage increase is not worth a 800% increase in the time that I have to farm it. And that's the God's honest truth, baby boy. And sheesh, there it is. Okay? Hey. Am I wrong? We all know 4-3-3-1-1, it's better, right? But it's so much harder to farm. It's just not. For me, right now, I just don't have it yet. Later I'll do it. And let me tell you why I'll do it more. Ready this? Because ready this? Blow your mind. Right? Ready this, chat? Here we go. About to blow everybody's mind. Because when I go up in union level, the mobs are going to get harder. So if I don't have a proper set, which I need right now, I need one right fucking now, the grinding is going to take even longer. That's why I'll keep 4-4-1-1-1 right now, make it easier to farm later, and then transition the motherfucker, right? And then I take my true crit rate main stats, I take the 4 set, right? I take the 4 piece, and then I give it to the new characters that are coming out later. And then I take the 1 piece, and then I give it to the characters that come out later. It's 0 waste. Now, once again, only talking about Havoc and Electro. Sure hope everybody gets it. But that's why 4-4-1-1-1 is great to farm right now. It's very easy. You can get it done very quick. Takes no time at all. Hope that makes sense. But if you disagree, I don't give a fuck. I'm not even a fucking theory crafter. I'm just a fucking guy who just, I'm just a dumbass. Right? But hey, maybe you, better yet. Why don't we take it to my chat? Yo, chat, tell me why I'm wrong. In case you're not talking about those 2 types, we're not. We're talking about free-to-play casual players who want to farm Electro, Havoc, or Energy Regen set. And the reason why it's even better for Havoc is because every free-to-play casual player is building Rover. Every single one is building Havoc Rover. You want to know why? Because he's very easy to farm for. And the final bosses are best in slot, Echo. And you get to level her up without farming the mats from the bosses. She doesn't need boss mats. She already has her own mats. 4-4-1 is easier starting point. It's not debatable. People are just arguing different pieces of the argument. Yeah, I know. I mean, I'll write it out. Okay? We're going to write out our too long didn't watch. 4-4-1-1-1 is much easier and much quicker to farm. Free-to-play players need a decent set to hold them over with the strength of the mobs increasing on every world level once we hit higher union level and higher echo database ranks, we can farm 4-3-3-1-1, which does do more damage later much more efficiently. Too long didn't read. Free to play casual players who use Electro and Havoc aren't being misled by farming 4-4-1-1-1. Would we all agree? For this. Yes, yep. Okay. Yep. All right, now let's go take it to a poll. It looks like a lot more people agree than disagree, which is great. It looks like maybe 25% of people misclicked. Cool. Makes sense. Whether you're the part of the 76 or the 24, I like being on the side that's right. And so I'm going to just go ahead and agree with my line of logic because I've shown you why I think of all of that. And hope that makes sense. Once again, no argument that 4-3-3-1-1 does more damage. There is an argument that it also takes a lot more time to farm. And as a casual player, I ain't doing all that until it's max efficiency. That's just me. See you on the next one.